Do you love being in the studio? Do you like being in the studio?
Do I like being in the studio?
When you're in the, like some people are not massive fans of the recording process, or you like the recording process. His face. How can I say such a thing? I don't know whether some people might find it boring, right?
You've done it now.
Damon Albarn's songwriting process follows a structured routine, treating songwriting like a daily job with set hours, which helps maintain consistency even on unproductive days. He relies on quick demos as the truest form of ideas, captured intuitively without overthinking. It seems likely that Albarn loves to collaborate, as it plays a pivotal role in projects such as the Gorillaz and Blur, in which Albarn will share raw material with bandmates or producers to evolve songs organically together.
Modern pop music is collaborations, period, now, isn't it? It just is. And sometimes you do feel that people are working together because they feel like, you know, they will both benefit in numbers and likes if they do it, you know, and that's their business. But for me, it's got to do with that, you know. It's got to do with just trying to explore the possibilities of modern pop music. I mean, you know, and kind of sort of breaking down barriers, you know, between genres, and, you know, that really kind of inexplicable thing that exists within music of like sort of generational music, and I just don't get that. I think, you know, anything can kind of sound good. It doesn't matter who's making it. You know what I mean? It's a bit about its integrity.
For some people, certain energies are way more important than others. And what's interesting is when you get those really different energies somehow creating chaos together, you know, that's when it's possible for something really bright.
Yeah.
An explosion.
Weird thing about song 2 is that when I originally wrote it, it was like a lounge song. And it was Graham who was just not interested in anything. He just wanted to do...
So you had so it was more like, I got my head
checked, yeah.
by a jumbo jet. Oh, you didn't do the woohoo. Seriously, you still had the woohoo?
Well, yeah, I had the woohoo from the beginning.
Have you got that demo somewhere?
Somewhere.
I got my head checked by a jumbo jet. It wasn't easy, but nothing else. Wow, when I feel heavy metal, wow, I'm pins and I'm needles, wow, a lion.
I mean, I can't ever convey how amazing an education it was to go to West Africa and start sitting at the back of little clubs in Bamako with my melodica, playing with the bands, not like on the stage, but just sort of playing along.
Yeah.
But that's about putting yourself in seemingly strange environments, and then
out of your comfort zone.
But then the transformation is that at some point it's no longer out of your comfort zone. Yeah, it's your comfort zone, and then you have to kind of go and find something else. Something else. You can always go back to there because that's but each time, each comfort zone you leave, you need to be able to return to it.
Having collaborated with so many people now over the years, it's just amazing how everybody's process is slightly different, you know. It really is. See, this is the thing that AI will never be able to replace. There's that human interaction and the sort of the multiple variations of that and nuances of that interaction and what comes out of it. it's almost infinite, really. And you never really know what you're going to get, and I love that.
A collaboration with Robert Smith lends some insight into Albarn's collaborative process.
It doesn't sound like a dead ringer for, you know, sort of a Cure song off the bat or anything, you know?
No, I mean, what I gave him was just a really basic drum track, a really skittish piano, and my niece's trumpet playing, because she was in lockdown with my sister, and we were all staying together, and she's very musical, but kind of a bit, you know, not that interested in hanging out in the studio. But I managed to get her to come into the studio, and I just said, just play whatever you want to play over this drum beat and this piano. And she played in like this one take, and we just kept it absolutely as she did it. So I just sent the piano, the drums, and the trumpet to Robert, and he did the rest, really. And the funny thing about that, when it came back, I was so like thrilled, because it sounded like a Cure song from like the early 80s, you know. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna be able to sing with Robert Smith. And I tried so many different things, like, and then none of them worked, none of them. So I had to, weirdly, my voice and his voices didn't work together. So I had to do what I call my 2D Sprechgesang, which it's not rap, it's Sprechgesang. So it's an arcane 18th century German form of rap.
So what exactly was that style conceived? Like, because it's
yeah, no, I think it's kind of, it was Feel Good Inc. really was the beginning of it, wasn't it? Yeah, I've been, I mean, you know, I really enjoy it, because it's an opportunity to sort of say some quite bizarre things, you know what I mean, that we wouldn't necessarily be able to sing about. Like in that tune, I sing about speeding through a forest, strange echoes of Belarus, where presidents pin badges on disconnected youths, which you could sing, but it's probably better in Sprechgesang.
Little Sims, who has collaborated with the Gorillaz, discusses what it's like to collaborate with Albarn.
I remember first getting in into the studio with Dee for the first time, and my anxiety just being through the roof, like this is mad, and trying to, I guess, I felt myself trying to mold myself into what their thing was, and I remember Damon peeping it and being like, nah, that's not why I called you in here. I called you in here because I want you to do that thing only you can do, you know? Yeah. And I think from that, I was just like, okay, so every space I walk into, all I got to do is bring myself, you know? Wow. That's what I took from Damon, you know what I'm saying?
That might be one of the greatest observations any artist can come to.
Just bring yourself to any space, you know what I'm saying? You ain't got to mold yourself or try and fit into, nah, man. You know, if you're in that room, it's because of you.
All right, yeah. Calling the world from isolation. 'Cause right now, that's the ball where we've been chained. All right, yeah.
Albarn emphasizes experimentation, blending prosaic details with emotional layers, and adapts his approach across projects like Blur, Gorillaz, and his solo work. His mentors include Tony Allen, who shifted Albarn's rhythm understanding.
The streets are all quiet and no one's saying nothing at all. Then the sun come out of the clouds and charged up the satellites.
Albarn's self-taught roots also play a role in his musical development. In a July 2021 Fader Uncovered podcast, Albarn recalls stopping classical training after hearing a captivating Mozart sonata 3-chord progression from major to minor. Albarn typically works from around 9:30 or 10 a.m. to 5:30 or 6 p.m., 5 days a week in his studio. He says the older he gets, the earlier he likes to get to work making music, and the less he enjoys making music at night. Albarn's structure helps him stay in the songwriting process, even if on some days he does not compose anything. Persistence keeps the creative flow going. Albarn describes his hands moving instinctively on the piano, with melodies and words emerging simultaneously, driven by chords that feel right. The first spark of a song leads to a raw demo, capturing fleeting moments of authenticity.
One of the most frustrating things is when you do stuff really quickly, and you're not necessarily spending too much time making sense initially. You get these amazing performances that are just you can't ever get it again because it was the first expression of something.
Yeah.
Which is the truest form of it. That's why, people always dream of doing one take vocals and stuff.
He uses software like GarageBand for quick recordings, including distorted guitar parts, so Albarn can build song templates without needing full instrumentation initially. Albarn's process frequently involves sharing ideas with collaborators to refine them. For instance, he creates numerous demos, approximately 30 for Blur's The Ballad of Darren, before showing them to the band for jamming sessions where tracks evolve through group input. Bandmates like Graham Coxon add layers, such as angular riffs or effects, tuning personal sketches into collective works. Albarn values trusting the flow, avoiding preciousness about outcomes, and incorporates guest input, like Brian Eno's vocals on tracks where specific requests yield fresh elements, like on the song Heavy Seas of Love on Albarn's solo album Everyday Robots.
When your soul isn't bright and it's drawn to the night, it's in your
In Gorillaz projects, separation of roles is key. Jamie Hewlett, for instance, handles visuals. This fosters freedom for Albarn to focus on the music. Producers like Danger Mouse have transcribed mumbled ideas into lyrics. Songs sometimes stem from real events, with every line in albums like Everyday Robots based on personal truths to convey universal truths, creating parallel universes in each track. Experimentation is key, from global instruments like West African horns to blending moods in a single track. While Albarn's methods adapt to each project's context, whether the raw energy of Blur's reunions, the animated world building of Gorillaz, or introspective solo albums, his works consistently emphasize capturing authentic moments and experimenting.
We are everyday robots on our phones, in the process of getting home, looking like standing stones, out there on our own.
In a 1999 conversation, Albarn reflected on his process during Blur's transition from Britpop, emphasizing playfulness and a relentless work ethic. He described songs like Bluremi as lighthearted explorations, rather than grand statements, noting it's not an indictment on anything, it's just playful, really.
Baby Queen, 1997, when I was on the road with Blur, we played in Bangkok. The show started and immediately it was very clear that there was like an area in front of the mixing desk that had been cordoned off, and there was a throne. She was there sitting on the throne with all the generals and uniformed gentlemen around her with guns and everything. When we get to the point where we play song 2, that she'd stood up on her throne, and then when it got to the woo-hoo bit, she stage dived into the generals. And they're there with this crown princess, a deity, and they're like having to stop her from falling on the ground because she's just lost her shit.
It just came like that.
That's it. That's the preset. It's the Rock 1 preset. But it gets even more.
Wholesale.
That's it.
Wholesale.
That's the whole
Wholesale.
song. Finally, someone let me out of my key. Tarantula. Tarantula is, wow, I haven't done a song ever like that. I mean, it's kind of sort of me kind of opening the door on the world of George Michael a little bit. I met that particular tarantula in the airport in Montevideo in Uruguay. It was the first day of South American tour and arrived at Montevideo and went to baggage claim, and there's a tarantula walking about.
Experimentation was key, as he aimed to keep experimenting. As Albarn says, quote, "It really is the spice of life." Albarn shifted from frenetic performances to static voice-focused delivery to improve his singing quality. Albarn has highlighted his output frequency, criticizing industry pressures that force big, robust records every few years instead of allowing delicate, odd albums. He has juggled projects concurrently, such as scoring a film and recording Blur's 13 album in the same day, starting mornings on one project and ending the day and evenings on another. By 2014, Albarn's process had matured into a structured job-like routine, as detailed in interviews around his solo album, Everyday Robots. At that time, he worked from 9:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. 5 days a week, toiling through unproductive days because, quote, "the fact he went through the process means that he's still in the process." Producer Richard Russell prompted the album after their Bobby Womack work together, with Albarn needing a partner who really wanted to go down the path of a solo album. Albarn provided a list of ideas, but most were discarded, focusing on personal narratives. Quote, "I was at pains to make every line about something that happened. Everything mentioned in the record took place. Starting points emerged from revisiting places like Hollow Ponds in Leytonstone, and expanded to global locales like Colchester or California. Recording was intimate. Albarn on guitar and piano, Russell on drums.
When we sort of started talking about making this record, I gave Richard, about 70 tunes, 70 bits of music, some more finished than others.
Albarn sought complete truth in his personal accounts to achieve universal resonance. That's what a songwriter is always heading towards, finding that point where personal truth becomes a more universal experience. Tom Gerling in 1999 told SoundOnSound.com that, quote, "Damon still uses an old cassette 4-track, which travels with him wherever he goes, and an 8-track reel-to-reel with a little desk at home. The 4-track is what he mostly uses. It's got a mic built in, which makes it ultra easy to use. So for example, if he's away somewhere, he can just sing and strum a guitar straight into it. No leads required. So if he gets an idea at any stage, he can bash it out on there for future reference. He also uses the 4-track for working out bits and bobs at home. Like if we've tried to do something new in the studio and its potential hasn't been fully realized, then he'll use the 4-track at home to work on it a bit more. When he brings it into the studio, we either use it as a reference or actually sample bits of it. If it's sampled, well, recorded on disk in Logic, it will either be replaced or on rare occasions will actually be used in the final project. The quality of these demos often leaves a bit to be desired, but at the same time, they definitely have their own unique character, which is something special.
Yeah, this is what I do all my demos on, and I like it because it's got an inbuilt microphone so that I can be anywhere and I can do, just have a guitar and then I can just do 4 and then bounce. I can do like 8 tracks on this. Yeah, brilliantly crap. All the demos from 13 were written on this, and most of them from the album before. A song should be strong enough anyway to sort of survive whatever you do to it. If it's not, then it's the fault of the song and not the person who's working on it, really.
Feel the sunshine on your face. Send a computer now. It's gone of the future, way out in space.
Interviews from 2023 tied to Blur's The Ballad of Darren demonstrate a process driven by personal openness and rapid collaboration. Albarn wrote while in America, realizing the material was about himself and Blur. He then presented the album to the band. Demos were central. He created about 30 of them, viewing them as the truest form of ideas, addictive to produce even during tours. The band jammed 3 or 4 tracks daily, capturing initial energy quickly to avoid dilution. The first expression of something is the truest form of it, says Albarn. Graham Coxon's input was vital. He added brilliant things like crazy noises from pedals, and Albarn required his embrace for the material to become Blur. Production with James Ford was swift, returning to roots in Albarn's parents' garage with minimal embellishment. In the Soda Jerker podcast, Albarn discussed layering multiple parallel universes in songs, mixing prosaic details with emotional aspects. GarageBand featured prominently for demos, like in The Heights, where distorted guitar templates evolved with band additions.
Suppose I got a bracing low. I tell a little heart just for
I have good like auto-tuning baby.
It's for you. The color in your love. Some face so permanent that you can't even see it. The color in your life. Some face so permanent.
Here comes the garage band.
Oh yeah, it sounds pretty good.
See, garage band, I swear by it.
Yeah.
Just how you use it, you know.
Yeah.
It's got it all there. It's amazing. It's got everything.
So that demo turned into the finished song.
So this would have been, using the demo as a template, playing over it, and then I remember we kind of got a pretty heavy, fun drum sound, and then that was sort of
everything was like, turned into something a lot more not bad.
Yeah.
Obviously, Graham has got these.
I only mention the garage band because it's funny.
Yeah,
but it's, you can't.
Yeah.
Compare.
It's not the same as having Graham Coxon.
It's not even
in your toolkit.
But it's nice. Well, I kind of have. I've just got a little Graham Coxon in my toolkit. Not the real one, the AI one.
Yeah, kind of bossy, I feel to it.
I fucked up. I'm not the first to do it.
Wow, it's so different.
It's really different, isn't
it? Your smile. I'm all crazy. Started alone and sipping bread. Always better for your love.
It's more sort of Nick Drake, really. Isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm waiting for you to receive me.
Wow.
I've lost.
It's like a total anti-cook. Yeah. Change it. Like it's really pretty in a very different way.
Yeah.
But, a lot of these things, they're sort of
Sounds great.
No, but I mean, it's so nice to be able to talk about the process, because that's the interesting thing. And also, you know, sometimes when people critique music, they miss the point of what you're doing completely. It's like, no, there are many ways to make this music, you know.
Yeah.
And so therefore can't really approach it like this isn't right.
Yeah. Well, of course, because it can be
what
anything.
I mean? It's so subjective.
But in terms of what happens next, so do you then try playing that? So
Well, you
does Dave get on the drums and just kind of?
Yeah, but I'm saying you can obviously, like, I mean, it's funny because another song that was very much like this is song 2. My
Right.
demo of song 2 is kind of bossa nova.
Right.
You know, and it's so on 2 occasions, that's classic Graham. He just goes, that's too fucking nice. Fuck that. I'm going to, you know, and then it's great because, I mean, for me, I much prefer the finished version, but you wouldn't have got to the finished version without the strong movement melodically, you know,
and the thing to push against,
and the attitude as well.
Yeah,
it had that. I fucked up. I'm not the first to do it, but now you really think like you fucked up. You know what I mean? You did fuck up. It's fucked up. Everything's fucked.
Ellie, why is so complicated for me? Twilight, waiting on the planet to turn to me. Dark side.
Albarn's Gorillaz work, discussed in the 2023 Apple Music Studio Tour, underscores intuition and separation of creative roles. Albarn starts at 10 a.m., letting his hands guide himself on the piano intuitively, with songs rarely fully formed at once. In a 2012 Guardian interview, Albarn notes one-take recordings. Of a Blur track, he said at the time they recorded it in one take, and that it was the first Blur song that they have recorded in one take. Collaborations like with Lou Reed involved stream of consciousness lyrics, with the former Velvet Underground frontman riding around in an NYC taxi while pinning the words to Some Kind of Nature on the Gorillaz album Plastic Beach. This later on would inspire Albarn to adopt this more raw emoting in his lyrics.
Lou Reed?
Not here, New York.
How was that?
Really, well, that took a year. I mean, I sent him 3 songs. Each one came back with a really snotty email going, "Don't like it, leave me alone."
Perfect.
4th time, not 3rd time lucky, 4th time lucky on this occasion, he went, okay, I might be able to do something with this. And then, so Jamie, Remy and I turned up in New York at the studio. It was a really, really stormy afternoon. And he wouldn't let Jamie or Remy into the studio. He'd only let me in. So they were literally refused entry. Jamie was particularly crestfallen by that. And I had a cup of tea with him. And then he said, right, I've got to go uptown and I'm going to write while I'm in the taxi and I'll come back later. So I just sat around waiting for him. When he came back, he said, look, I've written all these words about my thoughts on plastic. I'm just going to sing it. I'm not going to adhere to your verse chorus. I'm just going to sing it as it comes out, and then that's it. And then I'm done. But it was a brilliant process, and I love that now of just writing a whole stream of words and then singing. I rarely employ it because, but I should do it more because it's so brilliant if you can do it, you know.
In a 2014 Mojo interview, Albarn described adopting a method taught to him by Lou Reed. Quote, "This was the first time that I used a method of writing that Lou Reed taught me. He said, I don't obey the verse-chorus rule. I ignore that. And I suppose that's what I did. I wrote a huge amount of prose and then sang it. This prose-to-lyric technique allowed for denser, more personal content, as seen on his Everyday Robots album. Albarn contrasts this with traditional structures, noting in the Rolling Stone interview from April 2017 that flexibility is key when collaborating. Quote, "It helps to be very flexible when you're working with people like Lou Reed." Reed's influence extended to rejecting songs Albarn sent him, pushing Albarn to adapt without rigid expectations. In 2021, the Gorillaz released Cracker Island. Albarn worked with Greg Kurstin. The duo unlocked Unashamed Pop. They completed tracks like Silent Running, the first track the pair worked on together, in an afternoon.
It's sort of me here with Greg in Los Angeles, being able to expand my horizons and sort of imagining different kind of sort of tableaus of Los Angeles. You asked for me to explain my lyrics. I very rarely explain them. In fact, this might be the first time I've ever actually done it verbatim. It's all a load of old nonsense, though. Just remember that. It's a load of old rubbish. It's just a disclaimer. It's an old demo of mine that's just been sort of hanging about for a while. And the first day I met Greg, I needed to sort of get something to get the ball rolling, and I just pulled that up really quickly. It was obvious that he had the same sort of love of 80s pop music that I did. They couldn't have imagined in the 80s how dark it was going to get in 2023. So, you know, that's the fun thing about being able to time travel when you're writing. Just create this mad shit. Stop, 'cause you're killing me. You brought me back and made me feel free. Rowdy waves and your energy. You pulled me fragile from the wreckage. When something's so beautiful, it's killing you. It's just, I can't deal with this. You know, it's that feeling, you know. It's a horrible thing when you're driving at night and it's raining. Notice that it's quite dangerous driving at night because you can really get mesmerized. You just go into a trance. Literally, you don't even know it's happening. And then if you're lucky, something pulls you out of it so you don't have a fucking head-on collision. But it's a real thing. It's a really dangerous thing, especially when it's night and it's raining. I got so lost here. Machine assisted, I disappeared to a dream you don't want to hear. How I got caught up in nowhere again. The first verse is about the kind of the hypnotic nature of beauty and how dangerous that can be. That's a kind of more man-made version, but the natural version of that is just putting yourself in an environment that's just so overwhelmingly something, and yes, it's really dangerous. You know, and you sort of seduced by the beauty of it. It feels like I've been silent running through the infinite pages, scroll out, searching for a new world that waits on the sunrise. I have left spiritually and physically left Hollywood, but I still always seem to sort of stay there, and I always seem to be looking out over LA, which is an amazing perspective. But that sunrise just kills me every time when it's a strong one. Oh my God, it's just like, it's epic. It's epic. I'm silent running, 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 running back to you, back to you. I'm silent running. So it's the Forrest Gump moment of the song. It's very cinematic as well. It's everyone, you know, running backwards into the sunset. Human interaction is the antidote to silent running. Stop, or you make me cry. I think it's time that I decide what I've done when I trip and fly and where it's taking me. Well, it's just like taking responsibility for your actions, however fucked up they are. trying to sort of be a complete human being.
There's no way out of here. In the labyrinth I disappear to the dark fleets that got me here. How I got caught up in nowhere again. There's this line by the poet Rumi, and I'm paraphrasing it now, and definitely not as beautifully articulate as he is. It's something to the effect of, if you find yourself surrounded by darkness, then pause and look again, because you might be the light. Which is beautiful. Memories of triumph. This is the season of madness. Memories of triumph, I suppose, is a kind of sort of ode to the sort of to Trumpism, isn't it? This kind of make America great again. Firstly, what is this thing about great? It's like, it's just preposterous concept for anybody. I come from Great Britain, so believe me, I know about all that bollocks. That was New Gold, and it started with Kevin from Tame Impala in a studio up in the hills in Malibu. He presented me with this 6/4 loop. Down, down, down.
This one was definitely a little bit of a brain bender, but I think it's, I like a good challenge and a good equation to try to solve.
I found it very difficult to sing over 6/4. So I've actually put two chords in that are in 4/4. They go down, 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 down. That's what I'm following. What is Skinny Ape about? Another strange beast, but this is the most kind of sort of, for me, the most Gorillaz animated characters song. I feel like this is very in the world of 2D, and I like to enter that level of fantasy sometimes. This is the song Tired Influencer, which is another tableau of Los Angeles. The weird thing about this song, I, for some reason, left my iPad with Siri on. So as I was singing, Siri was responding to what I was singing. It's like, so if you listen, there's some weird, I'm singing these phrases and there's these weird questions that, it was a kind of moment.
For the song Oil, we brought in Stevie Nicks to sing. Having Stevie on this album is just incredible.
It makes it an entirely different record.
Yeah.
So it's strange. It's a strange, odd song, but it's amazing with everything that she kind of represents in I use this word spectrum, in the spectrum of Americana. It's interesting to have a voice like that with that kind of imagery. Tormenta, Bad Bunny. We were in Jamaica. Tormenta is kind of sort of recorded in a storm, and here we are in Los Angeles and a bomb cyclone. It was effortless recording, and there you have. That song is called Possession Island. I started playing around with when I was doing in the middle of COVID, and then it sort of found its way into a song, which I'm really pleased about, because I like. Rebecca and I, it was like making a record in the kind of Walker Brothers tradition. It has a geography, a psychogeography to it, gives it that sense of completeness as a record, it makes it sort of valid.
And you've been so busy lately that you haven't found the time to open up your mind, watch the world spinning gently out of time.
In more recent reflections, such as the February 2023 Fader interview, Albarn emphasizes emotional processing through songwriting. How do I feel about LA? How do I feel about the world at the moment? And how can I somehow put that through my own emotional cipher? This emotional cipher approach is evident in Gorillaz' Cracker Island, where geography and personal sentiment shape narratives.
When you think of an album nowadays, do you think of it as a full-fledged work, as a movie or as an opera with a concept behind the whole thing, or single by single?
Yeah, I like to have some sort of narrative arch, kind of loose one. I mean, sometimes it's more focused than on other occasions. I think this record's got quite a strong narrative through it. It's. I always try and make albums, and I don't really see things as singles. And then ultimately, it's the ability of it to play in one whole sitting that I'm interested in, really.
In a July 2023 Broken Record podcast, Albarn discusses vulnerability. He says that singing about his vulnerability somehow eases it. Albarn archives unused material, like De La Soul tracks, for potential future releases. The Gorillaz 2026 album, The Mountain, uses past tracks from artists who have since passed away. And if you're a music journalist or influencer who wants Albarn to read your review of The Mountain, then make it a bad review.
I've always been kind of a bit perverse. I've always tried to only read the bad reviews.
Why?
Just because it kind of gives you that edge. You know what I mean? I think if you start kind of basking in kind of praise, sometimes it's not healthy. You know, I don't know. I mean, it's all very confusing, really, when people start writing about you.
And when you read a bad review, how do you react to that?
Well, I just sort of try and take on board what they're saying. You know.
So you don't disagree?
It's not about disagreeing or agreeing. It's just, I mean, because it's always just somebody's point of view and opinion, isn't it? So, I mean, you know, it's not a big deal either way, really.
Albarn's process has remained adaptable. In a BBC radio appearance in 2025 introducing Gorillaz The Mountain, Albarn suggested ongoing experimentation and collaborations in themes. While he tries to avoid self-consciousness to preserve flow, Albarn's work ethic ensures prolific output, balancing personal depth with innovative risks.
It's amazing in a way how confined you are when you're in that first state. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's quite hard to break out of that, and a lot of people just they have that opportunity and they dabble and it doesn't go well, so they just go right back to it. And then they stay there for the rest of their lives.
You've brought the question back to me, and I appreciate it, which was as someone who has danced in this other space a few times and kept refreshing and kept renewing it and kept it exciting for yourself. I'll do this opera. I'll make this solo record with a theme. I'll go over to Africa. I'll do this. I'll do that. I'll do that.
Yeah.
What is this sort of feeling like when you know it's like, I'm gonna do something that's unexpected. I'm gonna make a change.
They bubble, like they're all over. They're like I go back to Iceland. They're like geysers, you know.
Yeah.
You don't know when they're gonna like explode. I mean, I've got loads of kind of things like that at the moment. I met this really interesting Russian ballet dancer who Sergei Pulin.
Mm-hmm.
He offered me a very interesting kind of project, which I've sort of started thinking about. So probably going to do something like, I'm going to do a ballet soon.
Amazing.
Which is really exciting.
Which is a whole other discipline.
Totally, yeah.
Completely unique experience.
One I know nothing about.
Exactly, requiring a huge amount of interest. But this is nothing new to you. This is what's crazy about you, is you somehow have the confidence to be able to apply yourself into areas that others spend decades trying to master, and yet you seem to are able to make something new there.
I think all it is just like, I feel like this is just one long college course, you know. This semester, I'm doing it, learning how to do ballet, you know, it's as simple as that. And it kind of, the more things you do, the sort of, you know, it's like, it's momentum, isn't it? You learn new things. I mean, there's still things that scare me, like writing full-blown orchestral music. Is still, I've got something I've got to finish by the end of November in that kind of world, and I'm kind of still, I'm procrastinating a bit about, which is not like me. Normally,
because of fear.
Yeah,
scared.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah. So what we did is we got this fantastic group of orchestral musicians together, and they all came and stayed in Iceland, and they turn up every day, first thing in the morning, get in their positions, and we'd all look out the window, and we'd usually start before there was any light, because in the winter it doesn't get kind of...
Yeah, what time does the sun come up?
11 o'clock.
In the morning?
Yeah, 11, yeah. and then it goes at like 2:30, 3.
So you would get there at say 9 o'clock in the morning? And
yeah, and everyone would have a coffee, and they'd sit there, and we'd just start this kind of sort of. We had kind of harmonic kind of destinations, but it was.
You sort of scoring the sunrise or
scoring the sunrise,
weather?
Scoring the sea, scoring the outline of the mountain, the birds, even on occasions the golfers and the golf buggies that went into view, because it's kind of, my house is like on a small hill, and then there's my gardens, and then there's a little golf course, and then there's the ocean.
Is that the North Atlantic? What is that?
It's the Arctic Ocean.
The Arctic Ocean,
yeah.
right, of course.
Yeah, the seals in the bay. I mean, it's a very beautiful view, and it changes so dramatically. It's like 1 minute it's literally like Armageddon, and then the next it's a sublime, bright winter's day. So. We had three workshops, and I did all this amazing kind of abstract orchestral music, and I was kind of sort of, discovering melodies and writing down lots of sort of just phrases which kind of alluded to the environment and our relationship to it.
Nothing like this had ever happened before.
After decades of musical output, there's just one thing Albarn asks of us.
Well, what I really would never like to do is for people to get sick of me, you know what I mean? Because I was putting out too much stuff. So, like, if that starts to happen, can like you do to elderly relatives, can you just put your arm around me nicely and wheel me off, please?